Greetings, gang. John Stamos here, the Renaissance Garden Guy, here in my Hardiness Zone 5B 6A garden in Michiana Shores. Today we got a really short video. I'm going to talk about overwintering potted perennials outdoors, how I do it here. The temperature is starting to plummet. It is early December, so it's a good time to start thinking about protecting your perennials. If you've been unable to get them into the ground by this point, don't sweat it. You can still get them in the ground, or you can still protect them and keep them safe in their pots over the winter. You go to the Renaissance Garden Guy website, renaissancegardenguy.com, and go ahead and search for how to overwinter potted perennials outdoors. It'll give you a pretty good step-by-step procedural for doing that, for keeping your perennials safe over the cold winter months. I'll give you a quick tutorial here. Pretty basic. Won't take your whole afternoon to watch it, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. So here we go. So you can see I've already started getting a lot of these perennials ready. There's a Harold Lauder's walking stick. It's a twisted filbert, contorted witch hazel, whatever you want to call it, a bunch of different names. These things, I couldn't get this guy in the ground this year, so he is already prepared and ready for winter. You'll see that I've got him up here against the fence. This is the north side of my fence. Preferably, you want to stage your potted perennials in a sheltered position, which is typically, if it's going to be up against the fence, you typically want the south side of the fence, or southeast side of the fence. In this particular case, that's not possible because the other side of my fence, we live in the woods, and my plants would be subject to consumption by deer and any number of other roving herbivores. So what I did is I prepared a bunker on the north side of my fence here. And this bunker is sort of comprised of bags of potting soil and mulch. You sort of stack them up along the front of the area of the bunker where I'm going to stage my perennials. So the next step is to actually take one of them. Right here is a Russian sage. This guy, I moved him from a spot where he wasn't getting enough sun, and next year we'll relocate him to a different spot. But right now, he's in his pot. And what you want to do is, when I kind of cleared some space for him, sit him behind this bunker here. You can see the bunker. So he's behind the bunker, and I've got all sorts of leaves piled up along and around the pot. Because what happens is when the temperature plummets, these roots are essentially exposed. Even though they're in a pot, they're above grade. And they'll freeze, and they'll freeze solid. You want to try to avoid that as much as possible because the roots stay active. Even though the plant is dormant, those roots stay active. They're still taking up nutrients and moisture from the soil. So by doing this, by putting it behind this bunker, up against the fence, surrounded by a bunch of leaves, sort of insulating those roots. They're above ground, but they're not really above ground anymore because of what I've done here. So that's done. I've already pruned this guy back. The next step is to take a little mulch. Now, before I put the mulch down, I'll tell you this. If you're getting ready to do this, you know you're going to overwinter these things, and it's like early September. If your perennials have spent a year or more in a pot without having the soil amended, it's a good idea to give them a tiny bit of fertilizer. Just a tiny bit. You don't want to overdo it because the fertilizer and its effects cannot dissipate into the soil. It's kind of stuck in the pot. So in early September, no later, because you don't want to encourage new growth that'll freeze and die, you go ahead and give this just a little bit of fertilizer. Now this guy, because I potted him with potting mix, it's already got some fertilizer in it. And I did that this summer. And the ambient effects of that potting mix, the fertilizer in that potting mix will last for months. There's no need to feed them. But what I'm going to do is add a little bit of wood chip mulch. And you can see I've done that with the Harold Lauder's walking stick, the twisted witch hazel. And I'm going to do that here with this Russian sage. A little additional insulation. You don't have to go nuts with it. Just put a little bit in there. This will allow moisture to get to the soil and ultimately to get to the plant, which we'll talk about that in just a bit. So this guy is pretty much locked and loaded. He's in a good spot. He's behind this bunker, insulated with leaves almost to the very top, and he's pretty good shape. Now, here is a little hosta. We're going to do the same thing with this guy. We'll put him right down here, make some room for him, and voila, he's done too. If you can, you want to get behind the pots, between the fence and the pot a little bit, stuff some leaves in there if you got a bunch of leaves. It's the best thing. Leaves are a great insulator, a great compost as well. Okay, so this guy is pretty much in there. Go ahead, we'll have a little bit of mulch. Boom, done. Okay, these are ready to spend the winter. Now here's another hosta, and you can see that this little guy still, I have not pruned him. But he's still got some saggy, nasty leaves here. You can see right over here. Hosta, unpruned. You go ahead and cut this stuff off. It's doesn't hurt to do that. Just go ahead and get rid of it. And the hosta's already in a good spot. Again, you can see it's behind this bunker. I've got a bag of mulch here that I'm using as the front of the bunker. And I'll go ahead and I'll stuff some more leaves around him. Don't mean to sound sexist. I refer to all my plants as guys, almost all of them. So I use the masculine pronoun. Not all the time. Sometimes I use she. Not a sexist thing. Just I kind of feel like I'm one of the guys when I'm out here. So that's what's going on. All right, so that's pretty well insulated with leaves. Been pruned back, and with coup de grace, some mulch on the top. So this plant is pretty well insulated for the winter. So one final thing I'll mention to you before I sign off is over the winter you might get some warm days. You might get a stretch of them where you get some 40s or something like that. You know it's not going to get too bad. You can go ahead and give your plants a little water. Now they should pretty much get all the moisture they need from the snow and precipitation, but when it warms up, it doesn't hurt to give them just a little bit of water. But you don't want to give them water when you know the temperatures are going to plummet to below zero within a few hours, because you'll go ahead and freeze the hell out of their roots, and that's just not something you want to do. So this is real simple, real easy. Potted perennials. They're ready for the winter. They're safe. They're insulated. I wish they were on the south side of the fence. They're not. They're on the north side, but they're protected enough with this bunker. They got enough leaves around them and behind them and in front of them and these bags to keep them pretty safe. So you can see these perennials are safe. They're dialed in. They're going to stay warm. They're going to stay protected. And they're going to have a good winter. They're going to come back strong next year. So that's a wrap for this one, gang. Thanks for tuning in to the Renaissance Garden Guy YouTube channel. Again, make sure that you stop by and visit the Renaissance Garden Guy website, renaissancegardenguy.com, for all of the latest in my garden and gardening in general, and lots of other stuff besides gardening on the website. It's a pretty diverse site, pretty cool. But for this particular edition of the Renaissance Garden Guy YouTube channel, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for stopping by. Take care of your perennials, take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you later. Renaissance Garden Guy, John G. Stamos, over and out.